Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the WGLNA Gold League Season 1. I'm your host, Christian Toma, and to my left, the one and only David Williams. Make sure to check us out if you haven't already on Facebook and YouTube, /WGLNA. And as always, go ahead and follow us on Twitter, @WGLNA, so you guys can stay up to date on what's happening in the community around you.
While you've got your browser open, go ahead and type in battleviewer.com if you haven't already. Now, some of you have been maybe asking, but what's so special about BattleViewer? Let me tell you. First off, you can view standings of the league. You can see the match listings for the day. You can respond to exclusive polls that people put forward, or that our admins, I believe, put forward for you.
Yep.
The chat that you are active in is still the same Twitch chat, so you're not missing anything. In fact, it's all just more easy access to to the other leagues, and you can view YouTube and Twitter from inside that interface. So I'm telling you, you really want to check it out.
And I actually heard from someone who was watching that one of the polls on the last episode was who would win in a wrestling match between David and myself. It seems as most of you voted for David. That makes sense. I would absolutely vote for him as well, so very wise choice there. Another great website to check out, you guys, is fantasywgl.com. This is World of Tanks Fantasy League. It's a fantastic site. You can log on before a match every night. Go ahead and pick your 7 players for your team. Your team accumulates points. Points amount to tons of prizes, one of which I believe is being, no, I know for a fact actually, is being flown out to the WGLNA Regional Finals to enjoy that with us. So go on, check that site out. But enough of me talking. Let's go ahead and watch the video to explain more. Again, fantasywgl.com. Now, David, for my picks this week, a few people I picked up. Arclit from Elevate, he's got 1,000 points. Also, E63 from Refuse, who's got over 1,300 points. And again, my man, Meadowhawk, who actually made a formal apology to me for the time I picked him and didn't play. And just because of that, I'm going to pick him. Meadowhawk, it doesn't matter if you play or not. You are on my team. We're going all the way to the top.
Not bad picks whatsoever. This week, I usually go with Arclit as well, but this week I'm going with Zone Delta. I believe Arclit is going to probably be putting himself in positions which he'll be able to make adjustments and call from. Because he's going to be playing #RU, and that's going to be a tough battle. So I don't expect him to put forward as many points as he has in the past, but they'll definitely be worth it, and he may play in artillery. So Zone is my pick on that one. And then out of Refuse, I also picked, a lot of times I go with E63M6.
Right.
I had to go with KT this time. He's been outperforming him just by a hair the past couple of games. And I think people know to kind of look out and focus E63, so we'll see if KT can deliver for me today.
All right, well, ladies and gentlemen, as always, David's usually right. I'm the one falling behind and following his trends, as you can see. But let's actually take a look at last week's matchups, if any of you guys missed out. Thursday, we had up first Elevate beating Noble 5-2, followed by Simp losing to #RU 3-5. Our third match was Lamp losing to Refuse 2-5. And finally, Game Over being swept by Synergy 0-5. Now, David, walking through each of these matches, up first, Elevate versus Noble 5-2. Remembering Elevate did very good on steps. I want you kind of explain what were the highlights from that match.
Yeah, the match was relatively even when they started out on what I believe was Himmelsdorf, kind of a classic deciding match and a nice start for a lot of the teams out there in the league right now. And I agree with that. It's a map that's still being balanced through the meta right now. It started out offensive controlled, offensive favored. Now it's maybe defense, but every team has a strong ability to win on that map. So they're relatively even, and then it went into steps, and Elevate was just better, just better all around. They started off on defense, so they got 2 relatively easy defensive wins, and then they had their offensive push with Arclit and his artillery, and that cleaned it up. And I think gameplay like that may start changing kind of how we feel about steps, but it's going to be a while before we can consistently say that defending on steps is not a huge advantage.
All right, well then followed by that, we had our next matchup, Simp versus #RU, one we were very excited to watch. #RU doing a great job on Lakeville. Explain to me some of the things you saw from that matchup.
Again, it started on Himmelsdorf, both teams relatively even. Then it went into Lakeville, and #RU was just better. Just better on Lakeville, more prepared, in particular in the final game of that set. There was a very large battle that took place. I believe most of you probably saw it in the highlight reel. In the center, there in the 4 line. And #RU just had better preparation, better angles for it, and they won, and therefore won the entire set in a great match, a huge upset. And I know that was a big win for them. I mean, not only is it kind of heralding the return of old #RU, but they've told me very specifically that their matches against Simp are personal, so they take them very seriously, and I'm sure they're glad to have that one in the pocket.
Absolutely. Now, personal because of the Season 4 repeat between the finalists being Simp and #RU. Is that why it's personal to them?
Yeah, I believe they've faced off probably more than 3 times, but I think they told me that they've won 3 times now.
Wow. All right, congratulations to them again on that second match. Third, we had Lamp versus Refuse. David, it seems as Refuse continuing their winning streak and Lamp continuing their losing streak.
Yeah, unfortunately for Lamp, it's been a hard season so far. Their roster changes apparently have hurt them quite a bit, but maybe there's always a chance they can start coming back. But it doesn't look like they're going to be in the top running right now with so many points lost this quickly.
Sure.
Refuse, on the other hand, doing fantastic, better than I think almost anybody expected them to do, aside from perhaps them. But their match today is going to be very important when they face off Noble.
All right, yeah, excited to see that one. But fourth, we had Game Over, losing to Synergy, 0-5. Synergy with complete domination that entire match. What are some of the highlights for you from that?
Synergy came together with some of the better Ghost Town strategies that we've seen so far. A lot of other teams avoid Ghost Town. Synergy apparently trying to make it their kind of proprietary thing. Take people to Ghost Town and hopefully outplay them. But an uncharacteristically dominant set for Synergy, and a lot more preparation, in particular that A1 spot that I think we saw that can fire into reset cap in the north. That's a huge improvement, but I'm interested to see how well it does against a T-32. The angle might not be right to penetrate a T-32 like it did that scout tank, whatever was there before.
Awesome. Well, again, congratulations to Thursday's victors. Let's take a look at the standings to get you guys caught up on what's happening in the league. Up on top, we have Refuse continuing that domination, 11 points, followed closely by #RU, 07, and Elevate. And down at the bottom, Maple Freedom, Lamp, and Game Over still with 0 points. These teams, need to kind of pick it up quickly if they want to maintain any sort of presence in this season. But again, congratulations to those who are on top. Now, David, looking at tonight's matchups, what we got for you guys are up first. High Voltage versus 07, followed by Rival versus Maple Freedom. Third, we've got Elevate versus #RU. And finally, to close out the night, Noble versus Refuse. David, I feel like I already might know the answer, but what is your highlight of the match tonight, or which match you look most looking forward to, and who do you think is going to take it?
It's got to be Elevate versus #RU. Elevate hasn't lost yet. Elevate's on the rise. You've got #RU just picked up Eclipse from Navi.
Yeah.
I mean, legendary artillery. So if they go on some artillery maps, this could get interesting quickly. And this is, right now, at this moment, perhaps one of the better suited teams to take down Elevate for the first time. So it's a very important match over that. That's not to say that Refuse and Noble isn't equally important,
sure,
or important as well. 07 hasn't lost either, and they're playing against High Voltage's first test form. But I'm not going to go through the entire list right now. They're all important in their own ways, but Elevate for #RU.
Absolutely, and I'm going to go ahead with Elevate versus #RU as well. Just the hype coming out from the office has been so fun to experience. Also, like I'm saying, these two titans kind of facing off against each other with the new roster changes. It's going to be really exciting to see what both teams can pull out here tonight. Well, ladies and gentlemen, that'll do it for our pregame show. Thank you so much for watching. Stay tuned. We'll be back with match number 1 right after this.
West, they're going to be slow getting there, and those 5100s are no good in the 3-4 line at all. Just not enough impression, not enough cover. Sketchy, if you ask me.
Wow, we'll hear Flack getting caught out almost immediately in that AMX 12T, trying to maybe get some spots in the enemy team. Valkyrie gonna pick him up from across the lake. A great start, 4-team rival here on Lakeview, and some more damage going across as J-Smooth trying to make his way through. Beautiful shots, just trailing the AMX 5100. Walk me through kind of what that little skirmish favored is. We only have 2 minutes and 10 seconds left on the clock.
It looks like a failed strategy, if you ask me. They were banking on some things that just didn't happen. There's actually an isolation on Memory League here at the bottom.
Yeah, absolutely. Memory League trying to run away from these two members of High Voltage, Wall Hacks and Heavy 20, trying to make it back to his team. Drogon, E63 coming down to help him out. Coolhammer now there to back him up, but Oxmathis with an amazing pickup on that Artie on the run. A beautiful shot in that M44. Top of the railroads, getting a lot of damage in return, not putting much out. Static in a bit of a trouble. Azrael gonna go ahead and find X-Shoulder. Dodema finding Static, and now Elevate still with an amazing almost over 2,000 health lead. The shots are firing back and forth. Zone Delta getting about one more shot. Let's see if Dodema can pick him up. No, G-Force are gonna be a block, and they're gonna find him out. Back-to-back kills. Zone Delta and Azrael. Germ finding a kill finally in that M44, but it doesn't look like he's gonna be enough. 55 seconds remain. 5 tanks on the side of Elevate, just 3 remain for the side of Noble. Canadian Impact getting extremely destroyed there. They just maybe have to send, oh, there we go, Oxmathis getting a beautiful shot onto KT on that T-54. I'm not sure if that was that a blind shot?
That is possible. I mean, where KT is it's not particularly easy to see.
Oh my gosh, Oxmathis
my
picking up KT in the T-54, showing that he is the boss in that M44 artillery tank. A beautiful pickup there. Also coming too, but this looks like the fight that they're going to need. Overload Prime and Brodus coming against these two T-54 lightweights. Let's see what's going to happen. Overload Prime coming and getting the first shot off. A shot coming across and tracking Overload Prime. Not going to be able to get the damage on that ram that he probably wanted, but now Abrasive and Putin, a nice little going. Brodus, though, getting extremely destroyed. Trying to make his way behind the rock. Not going to make it time. Abrasive going to be the next one. Crimson Crosshair with a beautiful arc from that Artie, getting a kill, but Maktab Putin going to respond. Now it's Overload Prime fighting against Maktab Putin. Maktab Putin will get that kill, and he is the sole survivor. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to the WGLNA Season 1 Gold League. I'm your host, Christian Toma. To my left is David Williams. Make sure to check us out on Facebook and YouTube, /WGLNA. And if you haven't already, go ahead and go to Twitter. Give us a follow at WGLNA, where you can check out what the question of the day is.
Who do you think will go undefeated this season, if anyone?
So for me, personally, my logic is very simple. I go and check who's in the lead. Refuse right now is in the lead. No losses, so I'm going to go ahead and say, if anyone, it's going to be Refuse. How about you?
Well, the running are Elevate, Refuse, and 07.
Yep.
Now, all of whom have almost lost. They've got an overtime win, each one of them. So I'm going to have to say that 07 probably won't, because, you know, they haven't played some of their harder teams in the season yet. They're about to play High Voltage, so we'll see. Yeah. So it's between Elevate and Refuse to me right now. Okay. I don't know if either one of them can pull it off. If you're already in overtime, maybe not. But if I had to give it to anybody, I'd say Elevate has shown that they're resilient, and they might be able to pull it off. Cool.
Well, and for our final match of the night, we are going to have Noble versus Elevate. So we'll see if they can hold that on for me. But up first, ladies and gentlemen, we have High Voltage versus 07. Now, Dave, like you said, 07 being those games that are undefeated, we're just talking about how they're going against High Voltage here. What are you expecting to kind of see from this first matchup?
You know, High Voltage coming off a rather tough loss. I don't know. It's a hard one to call. I think they're going to come out a lot stronger than they were before. They picked up to Killzor.
Yeah, from EU.
Who is a huge addition to their team. So I think they're going to come out even stronger. I think now is the time for them to lose so they can get used to it, maybe be perhaps a little bit humbled. Let's check out the rosters and see exactly what kind of changes have been made overall. So for 07, they've picked up Warbander from Lamp, and for High Voltage, they've picked up Dekilzor, like we said before, who has been a part of several teams in EU and has a lot of experience, and he's an overall great player. I know he's important to kind of how they run their strategy. Okay. So I expect him to get even better as things go on. What I was saying before, perhaps losing and being a little bit humbled last week was exactly what they needed.
Okay, well, let's see if that is what they needed, and if the new rosters are going to be holding up for these new teams as we're into our first battle of our first matchup of the night, High Voltage versus 07 Gaming on Lakeville. Ladies and gentlemen, let's get right into the game and take a look at what we got for our lineups.
So for high voltage, we've got an AMX 5100, 2 IS3s, an RU251, 2 T54 lightweights, and an M44. For 07, 2 IS3, 4 T54 lightweights, and a T21. It is worth noting that 07 is on offense.
All right, now coming up here, looking at this new Lakeville team, we did see Rival pull out some really fun moves, as 07's going straight for this this kind of Northern Cap, ignoring the city altogether. This is something, David, we're seeing, kind of more and more often as people are just avoiding the city play. Why is this?
I think city play is starting to shake out as being more advantageous to the defense,
Okay.
and I think that makes a lot of sense. Offense, if they go one direction that aggressively, if they put that many resources in one place, they can't be in the West. So what offense really needs to do is keep defense guessing in order to stand a chance here, because otherwise defense just knows exactly which way they're coming from, and they can camp it, right? And that's it's never in anybody's advantage. So right now, high voltage is a bit out of position for what's going on in the West, but they may be able to get back to Killzor and Ant pushing up the middle. This could get interesting really fast.
Yeah, T21 ZXFT going to go ahead and head on these two tanks on the side of high voltage, right over the hill, but a good crossfire coming from the count, and Killzor picking up ZXFT, and an early lead coming out for high voltage there. Now, David, we were kind of talking about how important it is to hold this 4 line. You kind of walk through why that is so key in this map.
Divides the map in half, but we're already kicking off into another interesting situation with 4 members, all 4 T54 lightweights of 07, getting ready to get on cap, and we'll see if high voltage has a proper response for this, or if this is going to be a big problem for them. However, 07's both IS3s are lagging behind in the 1-2. This does look good for high voltage if they have a prepared response, and if they can get in position in time. It's going to be very tough to cap for 07. With where Killzor is holding that middle, and you can always go around behind him. This is easily in high voltage's favor right now, although it may look otherwise to perhaps people who haven't played this map quite a bit. But as we were just discussing, 4-line control is everything. If you know where your opponent is, it's not hard to keep them from capping, and that's all you have to do. They don't have to get in here aggressively and kill anybody. They just need to reset the cap and hold steady, which they can do all day with that M44.
Yeah, Foster taking a little bit of damage there. He's backing off. They have decided to get off the cap, 07 back out, maybe trying to reposition themselves a little bit for what they know high voltage is capable of. Again, being a tank down doesn't help if you are on the attacking side. Some shots being lobbed in from Mathis over there in that M44, just rocking that artillery, as we've seen him do so beautifully. Davis, we kind of have stalled that here at the point. 07 clearly going to be here when you've committed this much, down to this western cap. You can't just kind of back out. But it looks like that's exactly what 07 is going to be doing, taking these 3 T54s and pushing up this 2 line. Do you believe this is just, this is a wise choice from them?
Absolutely. Where they were already stalling out. This is much more intelligent than, in fact, even a lot of teams have shown so far. 07 showing a lot of wisdom with this move. The problem here is Killzor and Ant. Now, Ant has migrated a little bit more north to make sure he backs up Docky, as he's known. So they will see all 3 of these 54s coming around the top, and the question is, what will high voltage be able to do about it? Blue Boy is migrating a little bit east into town to make sure they don't get too far. Docky or Ant should spot Foster, Rocks, or Vetro relatively soon, although they're actually starting to get pretty far in view range. They may be able to sneak this one through, and if they do that, they'll be right on top of Blue Boys, probably before Blue Boys really sees them, which gives them a path to Mathis if they can possibly get through heavy 20 and some heavies there. There's a lot of complex stuff going on right now. This is starting to get more in a situation where I can't really accurately predict who's got an advantage. I think high voltage still does. With just their overall angles, Killzor and Ant can support anything in the east fairly well. Sure. The big question is, can they just prevent the cap from going down while they deal with these 54s? I think they can, but we're about to find out real soon.
Yeah, it looks like we're just waiting any second now for the cap pressure. 407 coming through. Foster, Rocks, and Vetro coming on the side. Blue Boy's captain now is spotted. He's going to be caught out. He's in a lot of trouble. He gets a shot, but shot coming against him. Only looks about 2 connecting as he's just kind of running there in that RU-251. Now, knowing high voltage now knows what's going on, Dark and Ant responding by pushing back down that 4 line to come and help him out. Heavy 20 also turning his turrets in that 5100. But Blue Boys captain might be in trouble as they're going to come and surround him, getting some shots off. There's one. Blue Boys captain taking a lot of damage, dropping below half. But Heavy 20 responding back. Fawcett going to pick up Blue Boys captain. And now Rox extremely low on that T-54. Dark over on the side, getting some shots in from across the lake, taking some damage themselves. Heavy 20 getting some in response. But Heavy 20 is going to find Rox in that T-54. He has one more shot, and Ant picking up Fosta. A back-to-back kill for the side of High Voltage. And now only 4 tanks remain, 407. Let's see what happens. They're chasing Vetro Anfield in that IS-3. His tanks turn, and Ant Pro gonna find it from across the lake. Now just 3 members against the 6 of High Voltage. Not looking good for 07, who are on attack, and a great response coming out for the defense.
Ducky and Ant putting up a ton of damage there, doing a lot to Warbander and his IS-3, I believe. Not so sure about the decision to push both those IS-3s up as far as they were. What I am sure about is Ducky and Ant's positions were exactly where they needed to be. Blue was caught in motion. A lot of damage coming out on Synergy 3K here, but I think we all know this is getting wrapped up right now. I think it would take an act of God for High Voltage to lose from this far down. So We're just going to play it nice and relaxed, clean things up one at a time. Perhaps I should have put Ducky on my team. You know, I let that one slip right past me. What am I thinking? Of course I should have. Like I was saying, so Blue Boys got caught a little bit in motion, but no big deal. They had a plan for exactly how to handle that, with where Heavy 20 was, and that 5100 was pretty much the exact answer they needed no matter what happened. And he's just there as kind of like that final reinforcement to hammer down those 54s. If 07 had come in with higher health 54s, that may, and I'm going to stress may, have been a different fight, but I don't know by how much. I mean, that was a very well put together strategy on defense by High Voltage in that one.
And we saw also coming out from 07 putting just one member on that 4 line, as we've seen. Usually it's a kind of a 2-on-2 light tank battle. Just putting that one member, you've got to hopefully be expecting that, okay, you might get overwhelmed soon. Do you think that it's wise to just do that? And if you do, play way back, or do you still be as aggressive by just putting one tank there?
You're talking about Blue Boys, right? Where Blue Boys was? That's exactly how you should play it, actually. The position he was migrating to was a little bit better. The problem why he took so much damage is because he was going to it, as opposed to being in it, where you can then see tanks coming from further away and then run before they really get good shots on him. So they jumped on top of him while he was crossing. That's the only reason it went kind of bad for him at all. Otherwise, he would have seen it and gotten away. We'll take one quick second. Ducky deserves this. Let's go to stats, and we can see 13 shots fired, 11 hits, 9 penetrations from that mid position. Those shots are, I wouldn't say they're particularly difficult. They're certainly not easy. You got to deal with some lead times and whatnot. So he had a lot of great shots there. Warbander doing the best for 07 with 4 direct hits. A lot of shots, but from an IS-3 at those distances, that's not a big deal. Anfield. I'm surprised he took second over perhaps Ant or Heavy 20. Heavy 20 obviously getting to dump a clip on short range there. But Anfield is staying pretty far back and getting a lot of shots in. 9 shots, 7 hits, 4 penetrations for a grand total of 1,500. So I'm pretty sure he was firing at those IS-3s at least for a little bit. Yeah. But altogether, like I said, just a very elegant defense on the hands of High Voltage, showing a marked improvement on this map from the last time they played it.
That's true. That's true. And it's always fun to watch High Voltage getting that early pickup and not, just rushing in, but being methodical about how they clean up the rest of the match. Ladies and gentlemen, we're into our second battle of match 1. High Voltage versus 07. Let's see how this one unfolds as we're getting into the battle right as we speak. Lakeville, High Voltage on the defense, 07 again on offense. And David, what do we got for tanks?
High Voltage with 2 5100s, 2 IS-3s, T-54 lightweight, and Burt. That's the F-304, if you don't know.
No. Well, that sounds fun.
In the meantime, 07 with 2 IS-3s, 4 T-54 lightweights, and a T-21. Now, I don't know exactly about the FE-304. I mean, it's got a better angle. It fires a little bit faster. It doesn't do as much damage, but I like the M44, especially with Oxenden. I mean, he's been doing great. So,
yeah, absolutely.
It's one of those, if it's not broken, don't fix it situations. However, with DeKillzor's influence, I'm sure they're trying to min-max every single situation they get into. This is looking a little bit more interesting. A nice split from 07, as long as they can prevent their 3 in town from being overwhelmed. They're in business here.
Absolutely.
But High Voltage may be able to smell out that the fact that they are not that these 3 are just alone, and the rest of them piling up in the 4 line.
Yeah, getting some damage on ZXFT there already. That T-21, I believe he was the first one to go down last time. Hopefully, he's not the first one to go down this time as well. Ox Mathis taking some shots in there. Mako's getting a little bit of damage put on him, but not that much. As now we have, looks like just Synergy trying to hold this line in this IS-3, but he's got to get out of here quickly. As the rest of High Voltage just being extremely aggressive, pushing all the way through. Anfield, wall hacks, Heavy 20, and Blue Boys coming through strong up top here. Synergy backing out slowly but surely. Warbander in that IS-3 going to try to back him up. As he's getting a little bit of damage put onto him. They know he's there. And the rest of 07, Makos, GXFT, Vetro, and Fosta in that 4 line. Now heading around, but Synergy getting caught out, taking a lot of damage. Warbander himself as well. Heavy 20 having some great crossfire here. Warbander extremely low. One more shot, and he will go down. There we have some return fire coming in on the side of Dekilzor there for 07 going in through. And Synergy and Warbander now one more shot. Let's see if High Voltage can come in with the aggressive play and clean them up. Blue Boys still with 4 more shots. Then the AMX 100. Anfield taking some damage from aside him. Blue Boys captain finding Synergy, and now they're looking for Warbander. Fosta doing a great job attacking Blue Boys from across the lake there. Warbander getting some good damage, and now he's in danger himself. One more shot. Rock's going to try to find it. He does. He picks it up, and now Rock's himself, though, getting dropped down below half. Anfield going to find out Oxmathis, so finding Fosta in that artillery, doing a great job, and Dekilzor picking up Warbander. Tanks falling left and right on the side of 07, and now Rock's getting going extremely low. ZXFT by himself over in the valley there, pushing down to that western cap. Not sure what he's going to try to accomplish, as Vetro being spotted. Dekilzor and Ampro being extremely aggressive, pushing on that middle road there. Going to try to find him. They smell blood, and they want to pick him up. Rock's trying to do his best to persuade them otherwise, but he's going to take some damage in return. Now he is one more shot away. ZXFG still down there on that cap, getting some damage. Crossfire coming on the side of Ant. Vetro trying to back and forth behind that, and it seems though High Voltage is doing a great job as Heavy 20 coming in the corner. They're looking for Rocks. They're going to try to find him. One shot, he goes down. Now just 3 remain. Anfield picking up Makos. 2 more tanks on the side of 07, and High Voltage is just going to, again, David, clean this one up.
That is just great. Great play altogether. A lot of what I call rotations, or I guess everybody probably calls rotations there.
Rotatos.
Dekilzor doing a little bit of a shove down the 8 line in the beginning of that, recognizing, as we were discussing, that there was only a few tanks, or were only a few tanks in there down at the end of the town. So they recognized that there were 3 there. They pulled back their light tanks, they being High Voltage, pushed them back into the 4 line to make sure they got those other angles. They did a lot of the damage to those IS-3s, but where they could have gotten in trouble is trying to push hard at those IS-3s and taking a lot of damage on their way in.
Okay.
And they very intelligently decided not to go for what is considered more obvious play, and took their lights, pushed through the 4 line, got better angles, knowing those IS-3s couldn't go anywhere without dying, and just patiently cleaned it up. That's pretty much how it's done. I mean, I don't see much else that they could have done better aside from perhaps hitting a few more shots. I saw a couple there that were pretty far off, but I mean, I'm just nitpicking at this point. Overall, strategically, that was some of the best Lakeville play I've seen so far.
Great. And one thing I want to point out, maybe back to the beginning, 07 deciding not to send all their tanks over the north, actually sending a few into the city. But High Voltage responding beautifully and going extremely aggressive there. Now, is that because they got the intel that there was maybe only 3 tanks there, or are they just kind of calling that 07 might be there? So
as soon as they started taking shots from the 4 line, they knew, and you can count the number of shells that are coming in. As long as they're not autoloaders, you can pretty accurately guess. So they knew that there was at least 2 out of position, so they knew they had an overmatch with the rest of the tanks, right? So then they push. It's deductive reasoning. It's very smart. Let's take a quick second before we start running out of time to go to stats, because
sure.
Anfield, wow, 11 shots, 7 hits, 7 penetrations, nearly 2,600 damage overall. Heavy 20 getting in a full clip, all 6 penetrating. Well done there. Blue Boys, you got a 5, penetrated 4. Not bad whatsoever. Especially if you're playing a forward position like that and you die, it happens.
Okay.
Oxmathis, I now understand why they brought Bert here. Higher angles to fight in the city. And I guess they accurately predicted there was going to be a city fight because they brought another 5100, and just everything they did made a lot more sense there. I didn't have the time to go to it, but Rocks had 9 hits 8 penetrations as well in his T-54
Wow.
lightweight for nearly 18 or nearly 1900 damage for 07. So a lot of great play coming out from a number of players there. But I mean, I honestly don't know what you would do against High Voltage when they're playing that well and making such great decisions.
Yeah, they're absolutely dominating this map. Now we will be switching side, High Voltage and 07, ladies and gentlemen, to our third battle on Lakeville. Here we go, 07 now on the defense, High Voltage on the offense. Let's see if they can continue this domination streak as we get right into this. David, walk us through. What do we got for tanks?
High Voltage with an AMX 5100, 3 IS3s, 2 T54 lightweights, and the FE304. 07 with 2 IS3s, 4 T54 lightweights, and a T37. So I believe that's very similar to what they've been running so far, if not exactly the same. 07, I mean, I'm not sure how strong of a defense that is compared to kind of what we've seen High Voltage doing so far. But High Voltage looking like they're interested in an actual city brawl, and they're going to move Ducky and Blue out on the 4 line to support that city fight. 07 would be smart not to engage that because they do not have superior positions right now. Their better bet is somehow getting an isolation on the 4 line, but it's hard to do that. Near impossible to do that without getting annihilated by all those tanks in the church area. So right now, already starting to look like they're in a very rough spot just by how the meta of this map flows. Unless they can pull off this flank they look like they're trying to do over there in the west side and pick up Docky and still get back in time to stop that southeastern cap. I don't know if 07 can pull this out, but it's not over for them yet.
Yeah, like you said, this is a very aggressive push. Looks like they are very decisive when they do. Docky getting caught out. 2 shots going, nothing connecting, but finally 262 points of damage. And that T-54 to Killzor gonna get out of there. He gets behind a wall safely, and now the pressure is on, but it looks like, there we go, over on the east side, High Voltage is going to be responding by moving those IS-3s in position. Blue Boys captain coming back down the 4 line. More shots coming on to Killzor, but more misses. It looks like he might just be able to get out of there. Let's see if he can find cover in time as 3 more tanks come around the side. He's going to go rush straight for that 4 line. A smart move so he can find cover a lot quicker. And there he goes. He gets out scot-free on that one, and the cap pressure has now been applied for High Voltage. So David looks at the flank that they were hoping would go well. Didn't quite turn out for him, and a lot of cap pressure actually been put on. 23 seconds. High Voltage knows that there's a lot of tanks that are out of position, and they're going to go ahead and try to capitalize on this. We're going to come flying across the lake here. Blue Boys captain setting up to try to defend. Killzor now taking some damage over on the side on that 4 line in the center, but it's down to 12 seconds left. Osmathics getting some shots out onto Warbander, now down to 9. 07 has to get and respond quickly, and they need to do it fast, so they're not going to be able to reset this. 5 seconds left. Synergy rushing right on the IS-3, but not the fastest tank. Now down to 2 more seconds. 1 second, a little bit of reset there, and there it is. They get the reset just in time. A good amount of damage coming from Warbender, but it's now pushed back over and over again. They were so close to the clock being reset. Over on the side now, Rox, Vetro, Makos coming from the city. It is now down to 4 more seconds. They're keeping the pressure on. Nox Mathis finding Synergy, and now Vetro and Rox have to come in and get this reset. A little bit of damage comes out. Nox Mathis in a lot of trouble. Vetro going to pick him up. A 1-for-1 exchange. Ampro going, though, going to find ZXFT going down that T-54 lightweight. Rox in a little bit of trouble, as it seems that High Voltage is going to give up on the cap and now just chase into the city. Fosta and the Killzor going at it into the center road. Blue Boys captain going to back up his team. Ampro finding another kill onto 07, who are now just down to 4 tanks to the 6 of High Voltage. Again, looking in favor. Anfield finding Vetro as he comes around the corner. Mako's going to try to respond by getting Blue Boys, but I'm not sure it's going to be enough. Anfield and Warbander, Wallhack's going to pick him up. And now just 2 more tanks, one being Fosta, who's over on that road. He goes down into the lake. Fosta just throwing himself at the mercy of the Loch Ness Monster. And now it's just Mako's here in that T-54. High Voltage again on the cleanup duty and doing a fantastic job. Another win. 3 wins now for High Voltage on Lakeville. David, they know what they're doing. They brought their A game today. They're doing a great job at it.
You know what it looks like to me? It looks like Killzor was the final piece of the Voltron they intended to create. Like that, everything has come together now.
Good point.
And they have transformed into a monster of much higher proportions.
Sure.
We can get into stats in just a second.
Okay.
I want to point out Ox Mathis did get a kill in the FE304, which
is that weird? Because not a lot of damage coming out on that little thing.
I mean, it happens, but I was surprised that Blue Boys lived as long as he did. It makes a little bit of sense. The IS-3s having to push through, they couldn't really focus. I think they got a little bit more messy than High Voltage intended.
Okay.
But I don't think they were ever really on the ropes or super concerned about it. I think
Sure.
the reset they were probably like,
well,
we'll still fight our
we'll
way
just
out
kill
of it.
him.
But let's go to the stats while we can. Anfield making a strong case as to why he should be on your fantasy team from now on. 6 shots, 6 hits, 6 penetrations. I won't even make the obvious joke that's there. 2,200 damage. Great job. Wall hacks doing pretty well. I mean, really, everybody delivering a relatively equal amount of damage across high voltage here, except for Anfield. So strategy working as intended. And, Foster throwing himself off the cliff there at the end. Yeah. Whatever. He knew he was dead. He's going one-on-one with Daki in a 54.
He's trying to cool down.
And he's in a T-37. There's no way he could have won that. So, just why not at that point? Why not?
Yeah, go for a little refreshing swim. It's summertime, right? Well, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to be into our fourth battle of our first match of the night, High Voltage and 07 on Lakeville. Let's see if High Voltage can get a 4-0 streak coming in on this first battle, or if 07 can at least just win one and relieve some of the pressure coming up. But David, walk us through. What do we got for tanks?
High Voltage with a 5100, 3 IS-3s, a T-54 lightweight, and an FE-304 again. 3 IS-3s, 3 T-54 lightweights, and a T-37 coming out for 07. I think starting to feel like artillery is a very important part of Lakeville for both sides, especially defense. Both sides. I can't say especially either side. Defense showed that it was extremely important. It allows you to camp in the southeast while you can reset the west, which answers a lot of problems. Or, I suppose if you can find the correct viewing angles, the opposite, where you go into the west and fire in the east with the 51, with the artillery. High Voltage getting pushed up a little bit here and apparently getting stuck from what may have been an aggressive spot out of Fosta. It would not surprise me if he has binos on that T-37 and blitzed into that bush. But right now, unless this is part of their plan, High Voltage is not looking good. Whoa. Oh, no. 07 is letting him go.
They're backing out, yeah.
And yes, I was able to switch to Fosta here. He has both optics and binoculars, and he's rushing to a bush to get early spots, so maintaining kind of vision control over the lake to control who gets side to side, as we saw Rival do last week, is an extremely important part of Lakeville. It's also why the 4 line's so important, but as the season progresses, this is going to become more and more of a dangerous thing to do. As soon as you get into a situation where High Voltage is, where they get lit like that, they're going to poke, take some snipe shots at bushes where they know Fosta has to be in order to spot them, and you'll likely lose a tank over it. But for now, it appears to have confused them, or they just knew they had to sit there and wait, because now they're pushing right back through the city that they thought, or that 07 probably thought they surrendered. And it looks like they're back to running a similar or same strategy they did last time, and it worked. I don't know if 07's going to be able to stop it this time, but again, just strategically, just positionally, already, High Voltage is looking as though they are the favorite to win this map again.
Now, David, one thing I do want to point out, which I thought was kind of odd, is like you said, 07 having the city on lock. They had it, they pushed High Voltage out of it, but then they just kind of gave up on it. What was the reasoning for 07 doing that? Not enough information, maybe fearing that they could have maybe potentially been in danger?
Exactly. They're worried that the entire team of High Voltage went west. And in terms of like a meta head game between captains, that's not a bad guess. A lot of captains just go one way and then the other. Okay. That's kind of how they work, right? But
oh, man. Anfield finding Fosta. Not just Anfield, a lot of members of High Voltage finding Fosta as he gets taken down quite early there. Again, an early pickup on the side of High Voltage on Lakeville, showing, just extreme dominance.
That was Ant Pro, Wall Hacks, and Anfield all connecting all at the same time.
Oh, beautiful.
Before this action kicks off, I was saying Daki and crew, Wall Hacks, whoever is calling out of this whole situation, wouldn't surprise me if Daki is heavily influencing or taking over, probably, ideally, some sort of tandem situation where they're both calling certain aspects. But action's kicking off. We can talk about that after the match.
Sure, Synergy getting pushed back in the ice here as Wall Hacks, Ampro, Heavy 20, and Anfield all coming around the corner here. Let's see what's going to happen. Explosive battle sure to ensue here. Ampro taking a lot of damage getting back, but Synergy getting some response. Over 1,000 now. Roxo going to find Ampro, and now it's a 1-for-1. Exchange on the side. High Voltage in 07, even getting back out, but a lot more red going over on the side of Rox. Wallhack gonna find him, taking him down. IS-3 versus IS-3, and now Synergy in a little bit of trouble as across the lake, Blue Boys captain just picking on him. That T-54 lightweight. One more shot, but to Killzor gonna be the one to pick it up, and Mako's taking a lot of damage here behind this wall. Oxmathis just lobbing some shots over. He knows that there's at least 2 tanks there, and he's just going to go ZXFT trying to respond, but 4 members now remain. Vetro getting some punishment as he tries to cross it. A lot of damage now. He's going to try to run right in for it to Killzor. He's rushing into that eastern cap to try to break it off. Let's see if he can find him. Vetro does find a Killzor. A good little pickup for them, and Wallhack's getting pushed back. The fact that Heavy 20 kind of backed out now leaves the overmatch in favor of 07 here against these 2 IS3s. Let's see how much damage they can pump out. Wallhack's getting extremely low. Vetro taking it from the back. One more shot, and he will go down. Let's see who can pick it up. The shot missing, it looks like, from ZXFT, and Vetro going to find him there. Anfield finding Makos, but now a 4 for 4 as the tanks have even, but Vetro in a lot of trouble. No, he's going to find Oxmathis, but Heavy 20 going to respond, helping his teammate out by picking it up. Now with 3 for 3, it is back and forth. The ping pong game, ladies and gentlemen, has ensued, but Makos and Warbander getting are extremely low, about 1 shot from them each. Blue Boys getting some nice shots there across the lake. Oxmathis actually has gone down. It's now just Heavy 20 and Anfield on the side of High Voltage here, pushing in, and Anfield looks like he's going to get a little bit aggressive. He wants to find Warbander, 1 shot, and he will take it down. No, he's going to back up. Maybe not too good of depression on that turret of the IS3. Probably couldn't find that shot. But now it's sort of kind of even out here, David. As far as positionally, what are we looking like for both teams?
Really, it's just a matter of time about what they're doing right now. Anfield switching over so he can guard Blue Boys as Blue Boys moves up so they can close this trap. It should be over relatively soon. 07 has maybe 1-2 plays they can make if Heavy 20 makes a big mistake here. Other than that, it shouldn't be too long. Anfield perhaps getting a little bit ahead of himself. Blue Boys not coming out fast enough. It's starting to turn around.
Absolutely, taking a little bit of damage there, and a shot bouncing for Anfield. That's not what you want when the tank you're shooting at only has one more shot to go. But there it is, Anfield finding Makos, and now there's a 3-on-2. Heavy 20 with 4 shots, and then AMX 100. There's one of them, but now they're going to try to collapse him and take it now before he gets the other one off. But he does get the second one off. Warbander going to finish him off, and 60 trying to get around the corner. Blue Boys captain on the chase. Does a little slide, and nice pickup from Blue Boys captain. 1 more tank remains. Anfield getting a shot on Warbander. Nothing connecting. Blue Boys going to finalize the deal. 4 victories now for High Voltage against 07 in our first match of the night. David, this steamroll has continued to build on the side of High Voltage. Walk me through kind of the ending there, because it got close, it looked like, for a second, but you said it was just kind of all about time. Was High Voltage just in the driver's seat even when it got down to the 3-on-3 there?
Yeah, and I think they were faltering a little bit. Blue looked like he missed quite a bit of shots from his middle position. Maybe they really could have capitalized on that a little bit better. Definitely some stats worth looking at here in a moment. But it looked like Blue Boys did not get the memo that the Fast and the Furious series is over.
Just
because, that drift was pretty sweet. He can send me his replay. I would love to throw that, or I think all of us would love to see that, and perhaps a highlight or some other video. Yeah. But what didn't happen that we were able to see, well, it did happen, but we weren't able to see, is Oxmathis tied up what I believe was this T-54 by kind of driving at him and trying to have an artillery duel with an actual tank. And this was critical because it allowed Heavy 20 enough time to reload. And then when he came back, it started turning the tide of the fight. But that was largely in High Voltage's control. I think they made a number of mistakes. But let's go to stats before we run out of time. We can keep talking about what happened. Heavy 20 carrying the team quite a bit with 9 shots, 8 hits, 8 penetrations. Even getting a full reload and staying alive is just a great set there. But obviously, that relies on other members. I did see him get very frontline at one point in time, so just a great match on him. Wallhacks, 6 shots, 5 hits, 5 pens. Anfield, Blue Boys, here we go. 21 shots, 7 hits, 5 penetrations. Some of those are definitely not his fault from his position. He was just trying to hit what he could, but he couldn't. They kind of got away. And then a number of them he probably should have hit. Real quickly, Warbander, 11 shots, 7 hits, 7 penetrations. And that's really all we'll cover for stats for now. But I think if Blue Boys had hit more of his shots, more of the shots that he should have hit, it would have been a very different match. Other than that, not a whole lot of mistakes made by 07, other than their original mistakes of just spreading out too much, not having the ideal strategy. HWC just playing better in pretty much every way.
Absolutely.
Not much else to say about it, man.
No, but there's one thing to say. Let's see if High Voltage can take down the one of 3 remaining undefeated teams in this Gold League Season 1, or if 07 can come back from an amazing deficit. Ladies and gentlemen, we're into our 5th battle of our first matchup, High Voltage versus 07. High Voltage just needing 1 more to take down these undefeated leaders. Let's get right into the game and check out what do we got for tanks.
High Voltage with 4 IS-3s, a T-54 lightweight, and 2 LTTBs. I'm looking forward to seeing how that's played. Docky's in one of them. He's been playing great so far. Perhaps he can live up to my expectations of what an LTTB should be. I hope so. They're very high.
High expectations.
07.
Yeah, high bar.
07, 2 IS-3s, 4 T-54 lightweights, and a T-37. However, High Voltage is on defense, which is worth noting. All they have to do is defend one time, and this series is over. 07 struggling to find an entrance into this fight, but going very hard in the West.
Absolutely.
Docky and his fellow LTTB Ant spotting that right off the bat and getting out. This is already starting to look bad for 07. I guarantee you High Voltage has a proper response for this. This is what you use LTTBs for. I would not expect, it would not surprise me to see them get into a nice place where they can start sniping while everybody else takes the damage. And if they do that, the LTTB is a great tank in this situation. Lots of mobility, nice little sniper gun. Blue Boys moving in to the southwest. However, there is an opening with Rocks, Makos and Vetro coming in from the south, unless High Voltage adjusts very quickly. They are at a weakness here, and that is not ideal at all.
No, talk to these LTBs so far. Have they been living up to your expectation? I mean, that opening scout there.
Oh yeah, definitely. That's exactly how you do it. Running in the pair is a nice way to guarantee that anything they come across is okay, or that they will be okay. Although it could have left one of them back, probably K3, to make sure that you know. Here we go.
There we go.
Makos Rocks getting on top of Blue Boys. A flank from Ducky and Ant coming around a little bit too late, and it's kicking off.
Let's find out. Blue Boys Captain in a little bit of trouble here as Makos and Rocks coming in, taking a lot of damage, 243 points. He's on the reload. He's now dropping below half health. Gets another shot off onto Makos, but he needs to fund cover and get it quickly. His teammate needs to back him up as he kind of goes around the corner there. And they have a nice spot about this position is you've got, let's see who's that. Anfield and Wallhacks in that IS-3s up on top of the hill who can protect Blue Boys now if Makos and Rocks come up. I mean, a great position for him to kind of pull back between. So, a little bit of damage coming across there. But now it looks like Makos and Rocks are stuck. But over on the other side, Foster and that T-37 taking a lot of damage. Ant pro into Killzor, double teaming him. Ant gonna pick it up. And there it is. It seems like a trend has been setting. 07 dropping extremely early a tank. Over on the side, Alex Mathis now taking a little bit of damage from Warband, Synergy, and ZXFT coming across. But the counterplay from the hill is coming out very strong for those IS-3s. Let's see if they can punish them enough. As Alex Mathis now going to be the focus. 3 tanks coming around. A lot of shots going into him. Let's see if he has, if his team can respond in a proper way. As Blue Boys Captain also being overwhelmed down in the south. Alex Mathis Pro now one more shot away from CXT with Wallhacks finding Makos, who was trying to take down Blue Boys Captain. Blue Boys Captain just barely surviving, but no, he will go down to Vetro. Alex Mathis going to bail off the hill in that IS-3. Now he is safe for a moment. Anfield and Wallhacks now on top of the hill defending. ZXT got to get out of there quick as Heavy 20 in that IS-3 finding some shots on him. Alex Mathis getting a shot but missing it. Now he's going to target. TXFT finding him. And now it is actually a 5-on-5. High Voltage 07 now tying it up for tanks. Oh, ZXFT missing a lot of shots there. Good crossfire looking out from High Voltage, but just nothing connecting. And now we have a kind of a, same way. But Anfield, though, fighting him. A lot of shots going out. A great focus fire from High Voltage on top. Now bringing it 4-5 in favor of High Voltage. David, as far as the lineups go here and the positions of 07 behind these the hill and the little destructible house there, how's it looking for him?
Really, High Voltage was only vulnerable a handful of times, and each one of them would have required an amazing amount of gumption from 07 to really capitalize on them, but they gave them just a little bit of time, and I don't hold them accountable for, it's not a critical comment whatsoever. It's responsible to give them time. You don't want to just rush in there blind, but there were small gaps in which High Voltage was vulnerable. They closed those gaps quickly. They're just playing a nice game of keep away, punishing 07 for every inch they try and take. Docky is waiting here in his LTTB on the back side of the island. He's going to sneak in a little bit of reset as soon as the cap gets a little bit higher, and that's all that matters. Him and Ant can make sure that nobody caps, and that's pretty much it. Although IS-3 is rolling off the hill into probably a net positive fight with those T-54s. 07's IS-3s can't really help him out too much. Docky taking a ton of damage.
Wow, going out to try to find the reset. I don't know if he got it or not, but he goes down extremely quickly. But Wallhacks finding Rocks over on the side, and now it is Heavy 20 versus Wallhacks against Vetro. Anfield up on top of the hill, also going to respond. 07 deciding to abandon the cap and try to help out their teammates. Let's see if they have what it takes to fight it off. Vetro just doing circles on this house, trying not to take a damage. Anfield, though, in a great position up there on the hill, getting some good shots down that T-54 lightweight and Heavy 20 in the IS-3, finding Vetro. It is now 2 tanks remain, only 876 health on the side of 07, who are on the attack. This is not looking good. Anfield finding Warbander. Now just one more tank. Heavy 20 going to pick it up. Back-to-back kills. And that is the 5th and final victory for High Voltage against 07, taking down an undefeated team. Now with their first loss, but complete domination there. I mean, how much of that do you think it was that roster? You talked about, Docky being added on the side of High Voltage, and you think that's, obviously it looked like that's what it took.
Absolutely. It looks like that was a critical part of their dynamic that they were missing. This reminds me very much of kind of how many teams that I played with or battled against, but the team I was on kind of worked, where we had an overall caller who put us in certain positions. And throughout the seasons, this changed. So this isn't exactly how it always worked. But in some situations, and what I believe the best, there is an overall caller who moves people into positions, and then there's a micro caller who makes adjustments to what he sees.
Sure.
And they kind of control different units, kind of like the flank and the heavy line. So perhaps wall hacks and Docky in the situation. But either way, Docky making a clear improvement to the team, although getting caught in his LTDB there in the end. But it didn't really matter because wall hacks and crew rolled in on those 54s and cleaned everything up. Great game by High Voltage. 07, tough loss.
Yeah.
You got to learn that lesson at some point in time. That's not your fault per se. It's just a lot of preparation on High Voltage's part, and a whole nother level of game than 07 may have been used to.
All right, again, congratulations to High Voltage with that amazing victory, 5-0 against 07. Up next, ladies and gentlemen, we have match number 2, Team Rival versus Maple Freedom. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back.